It was midnight and the world outside was quiet. The street was empty, and the only sound was the soft hum of the refrigerator in the small house. The man sat alone in his living room, a half-finished book on the table, the TV turned off long ago. He had planned to sleep early, but something inside kept him awake. Perhaps it was loneliness, or perhaps it was the strange feeling that tonight was different. The clock on the wall ticked louder than usual. The hands moved slowly, each second echoing in the silence. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. Then it came, the sound that broke the night. Knock, knock, knock. At first he thought it was his imagination. Who would knock at this hour? He froze, listening carefully. The sound came again, firm and slow. 3 heavy knocks on the wooden door. His heart began to beat faster. Midnight visitors were never good news. Slowly he stood up and walked to the window. He pulled the curtain just a little, careful not to be seen. Outside on his doorstep stood 2 figures. One was a woman, tall but fragile, wrapped in a strange long coat that shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Beside her was a girl, no older than 12, her small hands clutched tightly around the woman's arm. The child looked frightened, her eyes darting around the dark street. Something about them felt different, not like ordinary strangers. Their posture was tense, their faces pale, almost glowing in the dim light. He could not explain why, but they didn't look like they belonged here. He hesitated. Every instinct told him not to open the door. Yet curiosity was stronger. He took a deep breath, unlocked the door, and pulled it open. The woman's face came into view. She was breathing hard as if she had run a long distance. Her lips trembled before she spoke. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "We need help." The man's eyes narrowed. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide and bright but filled with fear. "They are coming," she said softly, almost like a warning. Before he could ask more, the woman stumbled forward. He caught her before she fell, realizing her body was weak, almost lifeless. The girl cried out, holding her mother's hand. "What happened?" he asked, panic rising in his voice. The woman tried to speak again. Her eyes, though tired, carried a strange intensity. She whispered words that made his skin crawl. "We are not from here. Not from this world." The man froze. He wanted to laugh, to deny what he heard, but the seriousness in her voice left no room for doubt. Her eyes seemed too deep, too sharp, like they carried the light of stars within them. He helped her inside, closing the door quickly behind them. The street outside remained empty, but he couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were watching. He guided the woman to the couch while the girl stayed close, never letting go of her hand. She looked around the room like everything was strange, from the lamp to the books, as if she had never seen such things before. The man's mind raced. Who were they really? Were they mad? Escaping from somewhere? Or was the unbelievable truth, the one she had whispered, real? The woman lay back, struggling to breathe. She placed her hand over her chest as if hiding something under her coat. The girl leaned close and whispered into her ear, but the man could not hear the words. Finally, the woman opened her eyes again and looked at him. We are being hunted," she said. "They will come here soon." "Who?" he asked, his voice trembling. Her lips parted, but before she could speak, a sudden sound outside made them all jump, a sharp humming, faint but unnatural, like a machine alive in the distance. The girl pressed herself closer to her mother, shaking with fear. The man moved to the window again. Far down the street, strange lights flickered in the sky, hovering silently. They were not airplanes. They moved too quickly, too smoothly, almost like glowing predators searching the ground. His throat went dry. He stepped back, his mind screaming to deny what he saw. But the fear in the girl's eyes and the strange glow of the woman's coat told him the truth. These 2 were not ordinary visitors. The woman forced herself up, gripping his arm with surprising strength. "Listen to me," she said, her voice urgent. "What happens tonight will change your life forever. If you help us, you will never be the same again." The man stared at her, torn between disbelief and dread. But one thing was certain. His quiet, ordinary life was over, and it all began with a knock at midnight. The man's house was no longer quiet. The air itself felt heavy, as if danger was pressing against the walls. The woman lay on his couch, pale and trembling, while her daughter held her hand tightly. The man stood near the window, staring at the strange lights outside. They moved slowly, searching, almost hunting. He turned back, his voice uncertain. "What are those things? What's happening?" The woman's breathing was uneven. Her voice was weak, but her words were clear. They are seekers. Machines that follow us. If they find us, it will be the end. The man's stomach tightened. He wanted to believe this was a dream, but every sound, every flicker of light told him it was real. The little girl looked at him, her eyes wide and glowing faintly. You must help us. You are the only one who can. He almost laughed, but the fear in her voice stopped him. Me, I'm no one. Why me? The girl tilted her head as if she could see something hidden inside him. Because the key chose you. Her words sent a chill down his spine. He glanced at the woman, searching for answers. She slowly reached under her coat and pulled out a small device. It was no bigger than a stone, but it shone with a soft blue light. Symbols glowed across its surface. Symbols no human language had ever written. She placed it on the table. The light dimmed for a moment, then flared brighter when the man came closer. It reacts to you, the woman said, her eyes fixed on him. Not to me, not to her. Only you. The man stepped back, shaking his head. I don't understand. What is it? The woman's voice grew softer, almost like a secret being confessed. It is a beacon. And a weapon. Our planet built it to find a protector. Not one of us. Not a soldier. A human. The man's mouth went dry. Why would your planet need a human? Her gaze darkened. Because Earth is next. Our enemies have chosen your world. If they take it, humanity will not survive. We escaped to find the one person who could stop them. And the key chose you. The words felt impossible, yet the glowing device seemed alive, pulsing gently as if it could hear his heartbeat. He shook his head. You're saying I'm supposed to fight something from another world? That's insane. The girl leaned closer, her small voice trembling. If you don't, they will come, and they will burn everything. Silence filled the room. Only the ticking clock and the distant hum of seekers outside broke it. The man stared at the device, torn between disbelief and dread. Finally, he whispered, What happens if I refuse? The woman closed her eyes for a moment. Then Earth will fall. It may not happen tonight or tomorrow, but it will happen soon. They will not stop. Her words cut through him. He wanted to argue, but deep inside he felt the truth. He had seen the lights in the sky. He had heard the unnatural hum. This was not madness. This was real. Suddenly, a loud thud shook the walls. The girl screamed, clutching her mother's arm. The man ran to the window again. One of the seekers had landed at the end of the street. Its body was made of dark metal, long and sharp like a predator. A red beam of light scanned the ground, sweeping closer and closer. They found us, the woman whispered. The man's pulse raced. His instincts screamed at him to run, to hide, but the girl's terrified eyes held him in place. He turned back to the woman. What do we do? She coughed, her strength fading fast. Take the key. It will guide you. Protect her. She nodded toward her daughter. Promise me. Before he could answer, the device lit up again. A wave of energy spread from it, washing over the room. The lights flickered, and the seeker outside stopped moving for a brief second, as if confused. The girl looked at him with urgency. Hold it, only you can use it. His hands shook as he reached for the glowing device. The moment his fingers touched it, a shock of warmth ran through his body. Symbols flashed across its surface, and the blue light wrapped around his arm like a living flame. The woman's eyes softened, yet as it has chosen. The man staggered back, staring at the strange light covering his skin. He could feel something inside him shifting. Power, but also responsibility. Another crash echoed outside. The seeker was moving again, stronger this time. Its red beam cut across the street, aiming closer to the house. The man gripped the device tighter. Fear still filled him, but alongside it grew something else. A sense that he could fight back. He looked at the mother and daughter. If this is real, then I'll help you. But you'd better tell me everything. The woman gave a weak smile. You will learn. Tonight is only the beginning. And with those words, another knock echoed on the door. Heavier, sharper, not human. The truth was no longer hidden. It had found him. The door shook under the heavy knock. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the girl cried out in fear. The man's grip on the glowing device tightened, the strange blue light wrapping around his arm like living fire. He had no idea how it worked, but something deep inside whispered. This was not the time to hesitate. The woman pushed herself up from the couch, even though her body was weak. Her voice was sharp, urgent. Do not open that door. It is not human. Another slam hit the door. The wood cracked slightly and a low metallic growl echoed through the house. The man swallowed hard, his eyes darting between the door and the mother and daughter. "What do they want?" he asked. The woman's gaze was steady, though her breathing was heavy. "They want the key. They want her. And if they take both, Earth will fall." The girl clutched her mother's hand, trembling. "We cannot run forever," she whispered. "We need him." The man's chest tightened. Him, always him. Why, he was nobody, an ordinary man with an ordinary life. Yet the device pulsed against his skin like it was alive, choosing him over everyone else. "Why me?" he demanded. "You don't even know me." The woman stared into his eyes, and for a moment it felt as if she could see straight into his soul. "Because the key never makes mistakes. It has searched across stars, across worlds. It chose you because you are the one who can resist them. You are human, and that makes you dangerous to them." The pounding on the door grew louder. The wood groaned under the pressure, splinters flying. Any moment now it would break. The woman took a shaky breath. "You must promise me something." The man hesitated, his heart hammering. "Promise what?" "Protect her." She pointed at her daughter. "No matter what happens to me, you must keep her safe. She carries knowledge that cannot fall into enemy hands. If they capture her, Earth will burn." The girl looked at him with pleading eyes. She was so young, so small, and yet there was something about her, an ancient wisdom hiding behind the fear. He shook his head. "I don't even know how to protect myself." "How can I protect her?" "You can," the woman said firmly. "The key will show you how. But you must accept it. You must accept the destiny it offers." The man looked down at the device glowing on his arm. Destiny. The word felt heavy, almost crushing. He had never thought about destiny before. His life had been ordinary, meaningless in the grand design of the universe. And now suddenly everything was different. The door cracked open, a sharp metallic claw slipping through. Sparks flew as the creature outside forced its way in. The girl screamed. The man instinctively raised his arm. A flash of blue light burst from the device, striking the door with a thunderous crack. The creature outside let out a shriek and the claw withdrew. The house shook, but the door held, burnt and broken, but still standing. The man stared at his arm, his breathing fast. What did I just do?" The woman's voice softened. "You accepted it. The key responds to your will." That was only the beginning. The pounding outside stopped. Silence filled the room again, but it was not the silence of safety. It was the silence of predators waiting for the right moment. The man turned back to the woman. "If I agree, if I take this role you're forcing on me, what happens next?" She leaned back, exhaustion clear in her face. "Then you will become our shield. You will learn to fight them. You will stand between your people and destruction. But understand this, once you accept, there is no return to your old life." Her words hit him like a hammer. No return. No more quiet nights, no more ordinary days. His life would never belong to him again. The girl stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "Please, if you refuse, they will kill us. And soon, they will kill your world too." The man felt a storm inside his chest. Fear, confusion, anger, but also something else. A spark, a fire he didn't know he had. He looked at the girl's eyes, filled with both innocence and desperation. He finally spoke, his voice low. "If I do this, you both have to tell me everything." "No more secrets," the woman nodded slowly. "Agreed. But first you must decide." The device pulsed again, brighter than before, almost urging him. It was as if the universe itself was waiting for his answer. He took a deep breath, his body trembling. He looked at the mother, then at the daughter, then at the broken door that still shook under the weight of enemies outside. "I'll do it," he said. "I'll protect her. I'll protect Earth, but I swear, if you're lying to me, I'll find out." The woman's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then it begins." The device blazed with light, wrapping his whole arm in blue fire. The house filled with its glow, and for a moment, even the shadows outside seemed to retreat. The girl whispered in awe, "He has accepted." But outside in the darkness, more red lights appeared, moving closer, surrounding the house. The request had been made, the promise given. Now the true war would begin. The night outside was no longer silent. Red lights floated in the darkness, circling the street like hungry predators. The man's house, once ordinary and forgotten, now stood in the center of something far bigger than he could imagine. Inside, the blue glow of the device covered his arm. It pulsed with life as if it knew the danger waiting just beyond the walls. The woman, still weak, leaned back on the couch. The girl clung to his side, her small hands trembling. "They know you have accepted," the woman whispered. "That is why they are here. They will not stop now." The man's jaw tightened. "Then we can't stay here." He looked at the broken door, cracked and splintered from the Seeker's attack. It would not hold much longer. He felt the girl's eyes on him, full of fear but also trust. For the first time he realized something. She believed in him. That belief was heavier than any weapon. Another thud shook the house. The windows rattled. A long metallic claw scraped against the outer wall. The sound was sharp, cutting through the night like a scream. "They are surrounding us," the girl said softly. The man turned to the woman. "Can you walk?" She shook her head slowly. "Not far, but I will try." He hesitated only a moment before making his choice. He pulled the woman's arm over his shoulder, steadying her. The girl grabbed his other hand. Together they moved toward the back of the house. Outside the rear window, the alley stretched into darkness. It wasn't safe, but it was their only way out. As he pushed the window open, a flash of red light lit up the street. A Seeker stood at the corner, its metallic body tall and insect-like, with sharp limbs that dug into the ground. Its single red eye scanned left and right. The man froze. The Seeker's movements were too precise, too fast. He knew if they were spotted, there would be no escape. The girl whispered, "Use the key." He raised his glowing arm, unsure of what to do. But the device responded to his fear, releasing a faint pulse of blue energy. The Seeker's red eye flickered, confused, and for a few seconds it turned away. "Go," the woman urged. They slipped into the alley, their footsteps quiet against the cold ground. The man's heart pounded in his chest. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made his skin crawl. Above them, more Seekers moved across the rooftops, their red beams sweeping the streets. The man guided them through narrow paths, using the blue light to disrupt the machines when they came too close. But each use drained him. The energy inside the device felt tied to his own strength, and he was not sure how long he could keep going. The woman's breathing grew weaker with every step. The girl glanced up at him, her voice trembling. "She won't make it unless we stop." He shook his head. "If we stop, they'll catch us." The girl's eyes glistened with tears, but she nodded, staying silent. Suddenly, a screech tore through the night. One of the Seekers spotted them. Its red beam cut across the alley, locking onto the man's arm. "Run!" he shouted. The three of them bolted, their footsteps echoing as the Seeker gave chase. Its metal legs slammed against the ground, each step faster than the last. The man felt the heat of the beam on his back as they turned a sharp corner. The girl stumbled, nearly falling, but he pulled her up without slowing. The woman gritted her teeth, forcing herself to keep moving despite her failing strength. Ahead, the alley opened into an abandoned street. Old cars rusted by the sidewalk and broken street lamps flickered faintly. The man spotted a half-collapsed building at the corner. Its dark entrance looked like a possible hiding place. "This way," he called. They dashed inside just as the Seeker slammed into the street behind them. Dust rained from the ceiling as the building groaned. The man pushed the woman and girl deeper inside, pressing them against the wall. The Seeker's red light pierced through the broken windows, scanning the interior. The man pressed his back against the wall, holding his breath. The glow of the device dimmed, almost as if it too was hiding. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Finally, the red light moved away. The Seeker's metallic steps echoed into the distance. The woman collapsed to the ground, coughing. The girl rushed to her side. "Mother?" The man crouched beside them, his body trembling from the chase. "We can't keep running like this. They'll find us again. There has to be another way." The woman lifted her head weakly. "There is. But it will not be easy. The key has chosen you, which means it can unlock the path. There are places on Earth, hidden places, where we can be safe. But you must be willing to lead us there." The man stared at her. Him leading them? He had never been a leader in his life. But the truth was clear. He was all they had. Before he could answer, the ground outside shook. Multiple Seekers were moving together now, their heavy steps shaking the street. The girl's voice broke the silence. "They will never stop until we are gone. If we want to survive, you must fight them." The man looked at his glowing arm again. Blue light sparked faintly, waiting for his command. He had no idea how to fight machines from another world. But he knew one thing: he could not abandon them. He stood, his voice low but firm. Then we fight, or we die running." The woman's eyes softened, pride flickering in them despite her pain. Spoken like the one the key was waiting for. Outside, red lights filled the night sky. The chase was far from over. The abandoned building groaned under the weight of silence. Dust hung in the air, lit faintly by the glow of the device still clinging to the man's arm. The woman rested against the cracked wall, her face pale, her breath shallow. The girl knelt beside her, whispering softly as if her words could ease the pain. The man stood by the broken window, watching the streets outside. Red lights still moved in the distance, seekers patrolling like wolves in the night. His grip on the glowing device tightened. He had never asked for this, yet here he was, running, hiding, fighting. Finally, the woman spoke. Her voice was weak but steady. "You deserve to know the truth." The man turned to her, his eyes sharp. "Truth? You've given me half answers since the moment you walked into my life. No more secrets. Tell me everything." The girl touched her mother's arm gently as if to stop her, but the woman shook her head. He must know. He must understand why the key chose him. The man crouched down, leaning close. "Then talk." The woman's eyes, though tired, carried the weight of endless stars. "Long ago, before your world even knew the sky was endless, our people discovered Earth. We watched your kind grow, fight, survive. To us you were fragile, yet impossible to destroy. That is what made you dangerous. That is why the key was designed to find one of you." The man frowned. "Dangerous? I'm not dangerous, I'm just ordinary." She coughed, her hand pressing against her chest. "Ordinary is what they fear most. You are human, unpredictable, stubborn, capable of standing when others fall. Machines can calculate, soldiers can train, but humanity adapts. That is why the invaders fear you." Her words struck him harder than the seeker's claws. He had always seen himself as small, forgettable. Now she spoke as if he were something more, as if his ordinary life had been hiding an extraordinary purpose. The girl's voice broke the silence. "They want Earth not because they need it, but because they fear it. If humans are left free, they will grow, and one day they will fight back." The man shook his head, overwhelmed. "So that's it? I'm supposed to be some chosen savior? That's insane." The woman's lips curved into the faintest smile. "It feels insane only because you still think your life belongs to you. But destiny does not ask permission. It comes whether you want it or not." Her words made him restless. He stood pacing the room. Outside, the seekers moved closer, their metallic steps echoing faintly through the night. He could feel time slipping away. He turned back, his voice tight. "And what about you? You show up at my door, tell me I'm chosen, and expect me to believe it? Why should I trust you?" For a moment, the woman said nothing. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out a small fragment of crystal, glowing faintly. She held it out to him. "This is from our home," she whispered. "A world that no longer exists. Burned. Taken. I swore my daughter would not suffer the same fate. That is why we came to you." The girl's eyes filled with tears as she looked at the crystal. It shimmered with colors no human gem could hold, like fragments of galaxies trapped inside. The man stared at it, the weight of her words pressing against him. A destroyed world, a fleeing mother and child, and now Earth next in line. He looked at the device on his arm. The blue light pulsed as if listening to his doubts, waiting for his choice. The woman's voice grew weaker. "The key is more than a weapon. It is a bond. It chose you because deep inside you are already what Earth needs. A protector, a fighter, a human who refuses to break." The man clenched his jaw. Part of him still wanted to run, to pretend none of this was real. But another part, the part that had faced the seekers and lived, knew there was no escape. He finally spoke, his voice low. "So what happens now?" The woman's eyes flickered with pride. "Now, you accept, truly accept. And once you do, the key will reveal its full power. But beware, it will test you. It will show you who you are and who you must become. Only then can you face what is coming." A sudden crash outside cut her words short. The seekers had found the building. The red beam swept across the street, growing brighter, sharper. The girl grabbed his arm, fear burning in her eyes. "They're here!" The man's heartbeat thundered. He looked at the woman, then at the girl. For the first time he saw not just strangers, but a family clinging to survival. A family that now depended on him. The woman's final words before the walls shook again sent a chill through him. Your destiny is not to save us. It is to save them all. The ground trembled as metal claws struck the outer walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. The Seekers were breaking in. The truth was out. His destiny was clear, and soon he would be forced to prove it. The walls of the abandoned building shook with each impact. The Seekers were no longer searching, they were attacking. Red beams sliced through the broken windows, leaving trails of burning heat across the floor. The girl cried out and covered her mother with her small body, trying to shield her even though she was too small to fight. The man stood in front of them, his glowing arm raised. The device pulsed brighter with every strike, responding to the danger outside. But he still did not understand its full power. His hands shook, his mind racing. The woman forced herself upright, her eyes burning with urgency. This is it. The key has accepted you. Now you must accept it fully. You must command it. I don't know how, the man shouted, fear mixing with anger. Stop doubting, the woman coughed, blood staining her lips. It does not need instructions. It needs your will. Another claw tore through the wall, scattering debris across the room. The Seeker's red eye glowed fiercely as it forced its way inside. The girl screamed, "It's here!" The man's chest tightened. He looked at them, mother and daughter, huddled in fear. His fear turned to something else. Not just survival. Not just confusion. It turned into rage. Rage that these creatures would hunt the helpless. Rage that his world had been marked as prey. He lifted his arm. The device blazed with blue fire, brighter than ever before. For the first time, he didn't hesitate. He let the anger, the will to protect, flow through him. A wave of energy burst outward, striking the Seeker head-on. The machine shrieked, sparks exploding from its metal body. It stumbled backward, its red eye flickering violently before it collapsed into the street, lifeless. The girl's eyes widened in awe. You did it! The man stared at his arm, the glow slowly fading. He could still feel the energy inside him, like a storm waiting to be unleashed again. His breathing was heavy, but for the first time he believed he could fight. But there was no time to celebrate. More Seekers crawled into the street, their red eyes glaring through the darkness. Dozens of them, maybe more. The woman gasped, clutching her chest. Her voice was faint, but her words were sharp. You must take her and run. I cannot go further. The girl shook her head fiercely, tears streaming down her face. No, I won't leave you. The man dropped beside them. We can't leave her. We'll find a way. The woman's trembling hand gripped his wrist with surprising strength. Her eyes locked onto his. Listen to me. My time is ending. But hers is not. She is the last of our knowledge. The last who remembers what was lost. If she falls, everything falls. Protect her. That is your true task. Her words cut deeper than any weapon. He wanted to argue, but the truth in her gaze silenced him. She already knew her fate. The building shook again as Seekers slammed against the walls. The girl sobbed, holding her mother tightly. Please don't leave me. The woman cupped her daughter's face with trembling hands. You are stronger than you know. And you are not alone now. He will protect you. Her eyes flicked to the man, sharp and commanding. Promise me. The man swallowed hard, then nodded. I promise. I'll protect her with my life. The woman's lips curved into the faintest smile. Then I can rest. A beam of red light pierced through the wall, striking her side. The girl screamed as her mother collapsed. The man dragged them back into the shadows, but it was too late. The woman's breaths grew shallow, her body weakening fast. She reached for the man one last time, her voice a whisper. Do not fail. Earth depends on you. Her hand slipped away, falling still. The girl cried out, her small body shaking with grief. The man felt his chest twist, fury and sorrow colliding inside him. He looked at the lifeless woman, then at the swarm of red lights outside. Something inside him broke. Or maybe it awakened. He stood, his glowing arm rising again. The device responded to his rage, covering his entire body in blue energy. His shadow stretched against the walls, no longer ordinary. The Seekers poured into the street, their red eyes burning. But the man no longer felt fear. He felt destiny pressing down on him. He turned to the girl, who looked at him with tearful eyes. Stay behind me. She nodded, wiping her face, trying to be brave. The man faced the storm outside. His voice was low, filled with steel. You want her? You'll have to go through me first. The device flared, brighter than the night sky, and the ground shook as the first Seekers charged. This was no longer about running. No longer about hiding, this was the turning point. The street outside burned with red light. Dozens of seekers stood like predators in the night, their glowing eyes fixed on the broken building. Their claws scraped against the ground, sparks flying as they prepared to strike. Inside, the man stood tall, his arm wrapped in blue fire. The device no longer felt like an object, it felt like part of him. Its power hummed in his veins, fierce and alive. Behind him, the girl clung to the shadows, her small face streaked with tears, but her gaze steady on him. The woman was gone. Her sacrifice left only silence, but also a promise. The man had sworn to protect the girl, and now that promise burned brighter than fear. The first seeker leapt through the broken wall. Its claw swung toward him fast and sharp. The man raised his glowing arm, and the device erupted in a blast of energy. The claw shattered, the machine collapsing in a heap of broken metal. The others shrieked, their red eyes flashing with anger. They charged together, a storm of claws and beams. The man met them head-on. Blue light shot from his arm like lightning, tearing through metal bodies. The ground shook with each strike, the air filled with sparks and screeches. For every seeker that fell, more appeared, climbing over the wreckage like an endless tide. The girl watched, wide-eyed, as he fought. He was no soldier, no warrior, but in that moment he was unstoppable. Every strike carried not just power, but purpose, the will to protect, the rage against those who hunted the innocent. But the device drained him. Each blast pulled at his strength, each strike heavier than the last. His body screamed with exhaustion, but he refused to stop. The girl cried out, "Behind you!" He spun just in time, blocking a claw that would have torn him apart. The impact sent him crashing against the wall. Pain shot through his ribs, but the device surged again, forcing him back to his feet. The seekers surrounded him now. Red beams crisscrossed the room, trapping him in their glow. He breathed heavily, his muscles trembling. He knew he couldn't win by fighting them all here. He looked at the girl. She was clutching the glowing crystal her mother had left behind, holding it tight against her chest. Her small voice broke through the chaos. "You're not alone. The key, it's not only power. It's guidance. Listen to it." He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the device hum in his arm. The blue light shifted, no longer wild and chaotic, but focused. The key was showing him something, an image, a path. Beyond the swarm of seekers through the burning streets lay a place glowing with blue energy, hidden beneath the earth. A sanctuary. A place of safety. His eyes snapped open. "We can't fight them all, but we can escape." The girl nodded, trusting him completely. The man raised his arm, unleashing one last wave of energy that shook the ground. The seekers staggered back, their red beams scattering. He grabbed the girl's hand, pulling her close. "Stay with me. Don't let go." Together they ran, out of the broken building, through fire and smoke, into the streets filled with chaos. Seekers shrieked, chasing them, their claws tearing through cars and walls. But the man kept moving, the blue light guiding every step. The girl's small hand gripped his tightly. Her breath came in short gasps, but she never let go. The seekers closed in, faster now, their red beams slicing past them. One struck the ground near their feet, sending debris flying. The man shielded the girl, his glowing arm taking the brunt of the blast. Pain seared through him, but he refused to stop. Finally, they reached the edge of the street where the device pulsed brighter, pointing downward. Beneath the cracked pavement was a hidden entrance, a circle of glowing symbols buried under rubble. The man slammed his glowing arm against it. The ground shook, the symbols ignited, and a passage opened with a rush of blue light. "Go," he shouted, pushing the girl inside. She hesitated. "What about you?" "I'm right behind you." The seekers roared, charging forward. The man leapt into the passage, the opening ceiling shut behind them just as claws struck the ground where they had stood. Darkness surrounded them for a moment. Then the walls lit up with soft blue lines guiding them deeper underground. The air was calm, far from the chaos above. The girl clutched his arm, tears still fresh on her cheeks. "She's gone. But you kept your promise." The man knelt down, resting a hand on her shoulder. "I promised her I'd protect you. And I will. No matter what." The device pulsed warmly, almost as if it approved. The girl looked up at him, her voice trembling but steady. "What happens now?" He looked toward the glowing tunnel ahead, his jaw set. "Now may we prepare. They think Earth is weak. They think humanity is prey. But they're wrong. We'll make them regret ever coming here." The girl's eyes shone with determination, the same fire he now felt inside. Above them, The Seekers howled across the night sky, their red light spreading like a plague. The invasion had already begun, but below, in the hidden glow of the sanctuary, something new was born. A protector. A destiny accepted, a human standing against the stars.